So I started tweeting this morning, basically responded to Hillary Clinton's press secretary. His name's Brian Fallon, who tweeted out, if you're going to write about materials issued by WikiLeaks, you should at least state that they are a product of an illegal hack by a foreign government. So again, they are trying to deflect as much as humanly possible on the fact that these leaks are exposing what I call the clay candidate. She's malleable. You could reshape her any way you want. She'll in real time assumes positions to win this primary or that primary or win an election. That's what these emails show. The campaign crafting what her position on things are in order to win a primary or win over that person or win over Elizabeth Warren or win over this. This is what these emails show. So I responded to him, yes, journalists should focus on Russia because you and Democrats keep saying it with zero evidence. So, yeah, that's self-explanatory. They could deflect all they want, that it's Russia, but there's no evidence that it's Russia. In fact, the CIA chief came out at the end of July on television saying, we can't confirm this is Russia. And I found it very coincidental, I would say, that President Obama on Friday came out in the afternoon. His administration came out saying, we now have evidence this was Russia. And then a few hours later, WikiLeaks came out with this. So I thought they were tipped off that WikiLeaks was going to release these and wanted to put forth their defense right away. And now it's coming from President Obama. Before, it was just Hillary Clinton's campaign, Democratic operatives, but now Obama's trying to cover for her. Another tweet by her press secretary was, Russia actively trying to boost Trump is way more important than how our campaign's tweets are crafted, but is getting a fraction of the coverage. Well, neither of it are getting coverage because CNN and MSNBC are having orgasms over Donald Trump's every note. As I've said, I think Donald Trump's tapes and his comments about women and possibly sexually assaulting women definitely deserve coverage. There are other things in the world important other than corruption, particularly when a candidate's talking about sexually assaulting women. Do I think it deserves 24/7 coverage to the point now we are having coverage about his tweets? No. And I think CNN and MSNBC are very clearly covering for Hillary Clinton because they're not reporting on these leaks. They're not reporting at all on her bank transcripts, on her speeches to Goldman Sachs, and all that. So I responded to the campaign manager, yes, all about tweets and deciding on, because he said basically the only thing to see in these leaked emails are how they craft their tweets. So I wrote, yep, all about tweets and deciding on the fly what positions to take. Hillary Clinton telling banks why they're misunderstood. So there you go. So let me get into some of the leaks that I found today. Former Interior Secretary Ken Salazar told Hillary Clinton's campaign via email that Bernie Sanders outwardly opposed fixing the broken immigration system. Ken Salazar was the immigration chair, Interior Secretary until 2013. He wrote, I worked closely with Hillary Clinton on comprehensive immigration reform when we served in the United States Senate. And I also worked closely with Secretary Clinton on advancing the relationship between the United States and Mexico during our service in President Obama's cabinet. While Secretary Clinton was always a leader and advocate for Latinos, Senator Sanders was nowhere to be seen on these issues and outwardly opposed our efforts to fix America's broken immigration system and take millions of Americans and their families out of the shadows out of fear and despair. So first of all, if Hillary Clinton was a champion for immigration, yeah, on creating a wall fence, or a border wall, as she called it. And Bernie Sanders, the reason Bernie Sanders objected to the 2007 legislation for immigration was because it didn't have enough protections in it for immigrants and would have exposed them to being exploited. That's why he opposed the legislation. But Ken Salazar writes that Hillary Clinton, who wants a border fence or wall, whatever you want to say, she's the champion for immigration. Another funny one, I thought, Hillary Clinton's campaign chairman, John Podesta, in an email, somebody in the campaign said, subject line, upstairs at urgent care, so obviously somebody was ill. John Podesta wrote, no worries, take care of yourself and cut out the GMOs. genetically modified organisms. And, there's a whole debate about GMOs and food and all that. Now, it's funny because John Podesta is saying cut out the GMOs, yet the candidate he's chairman for pushed GMOs all around the world when she was Secretary of State. So I found that kind of humorous because it shows even her campaign people don't buy into a lot of the stuff she's selling as Secretary of State and in her campaign. Jessica said, I tweeted that one, LOL. Thank you, Jessica. So another one that I found very interesting, it was sent from Zoe, Zoe106 at yahoo.com to Podesta. Subject line was Apple, meaning Hillary Clinton campaign, but from the subject of the email, I don't think so. The email, February 17th, 2016. Dear John, I hope that our candidate does not leap on the side of the FBI on the encryption ruling. She's referring to the FBI encryption ruling when it comes to unlocking the San Bernardino's shooter's phone. As you know, there's a huge debate about whether Apple should try to unlock the San Bernardino's shooter's phone to get as much information out as possible. The Obama administration and the FBI wanted the information out and wanted Apple to essentially make a new code, or whatever the technical thing they'd have to do is to unlock privacy codes on the phones. So, dear John, I hope that our candidate does not leap on the side of the FBI on the encryption ruling. If she is leaning that way, can I talk to her? ? So this was sent, I'm totally guessing, either by somebody from Apple or somebody in Silicon Valley to John Podesta. Podesta says, let me check where we are on this and whether there's a need for a call. So again, I'm speculating because I don't know who sent it, but when you say, I hope that our candidate, meaning this is Silicon Valley's candidate or Apple's candidate, I hope that our candidate is not on the side of the FBI on the encryption ruling. If she is leaning that way, can I talk with her? What this shows is special interests know that they could talk to Hillary Clinton and get her direct ear on their issues, which is not the way it's supposed to work. It shows that she is beholden to the special interests. Again, I don't know who it was sent by, but it wasn't sent by someone in the Hillary Clinton campaign. It was sent by a yahoo.com address. So if you want to search Zoe106, I searched it. I couldn't find it. That's who sent that. So what else do we got here? You move up. This one was, I think, the biggest of the day. Shows the most direct corruption. It was an email from Donna Brazile. Donna Brazile is currently the interim chair of the Democratic National Committee. She stepped in when Debbie Wasserman Schultz had to step down. Donna Brazile was a CNN contributor before she came over to be DNC chair. So she's been at CNN for years. She was also at ABC, a pundit, a guest on the channel, Democratic Party lifer. So the subject line, from time to time, I get the questions in advance. From time to time, I get the questions in advance. Donna Brazile sent, here's one that worries me about HRC. Death penalty. And then she sent her a question, the wording. 19 states and the District of Columbia have banned the death penalty. 31 states, including Ohio, still have the death penalty. According to the National Coalition to Abolish the Death Penalty, since 1973, 156 people have been on death row and later set free. Since 1976, 1,414 people have been executed in the U.S. That's 11% of Americans who were sentenced to die, but later exonerated and freed. Should Ohio and the 30 other states join the current list and abolish the death penalty? So the subject line is, of the email, from time to time I get the questions in advance. And then she says to Hillary Clinton's campaign, here's the one that worries me about Hillary HRC. Jennifer Palmieri, who is the Clinton campaign's communications director, she says, yes, it is the one she gets asked about. Not everyone likes her answer, but can share it. And then she instructs, can you send her answer on death penalty? Ironically, the next day, CNN had a town hall.
Secretary Clinton.
Since 1976, we've executed 1,414 people in this country. Since 1973, 156 who were convicted have been exonerated from the death row. This gentleman here is one of them. This is Ricky Jackson, wrongfully convicted of murder in 1975. He spent 39 years in prison. He is undecided. Ricky, what's your question?
Thank you, Senator. Thank you for taking my question. As stated, I did spend 39 years of my life in prison for a crime, a murder I didn't commit. And it was only through heroic efforts of the Ohio Innocence Project at the University of Cincinnati that I was ultimately exonerated and am able to stand before you today.
So Brazil has come out and given a statement on this. Let me read her statement, which I think is laughable. She said, as a longtime political activist with deep ties to our party, I supported all our candidates for president. I often shared my thoughts with each and every campaign, and any suggestions that indicate otherwise are simply untrue. As it pertains to the CNN debates, I have never had access to questions. I would never have shared them with the candidates if I did. Then she went on to go on a paragraph rant about Russia, because that's all she does when confronted about WikiLeaks. She goes on to rant that the Russians have hacked us and it's the Cold War and la 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 and all this nonsense. I don't believe her. I think that she sent the question to the Hillary Clinton campaign. She's a CNN contributor. She is friends with people at CNN. CNN and other networks do get the questions from the audience beforehand. These town halls are highly produced. I don't believe her when she says she didn't send it. Business Insider is out with a story now, essentially taking the Democratic Party's spin on this as the news. I'll read it to you. Democratic official throws cold water on reports DNC chair leaked town hall questions to Hillary Clinton. Quote, this is the story from Business Insider. Democratic National Committee Chair Donna Brazile did not, as a series of media reports, outlets reported, leak questions to Hillary Clinton before a CNN town hall in March, a top Democratic official said on Tuesday. The false report emerged on Tuesday when some observers digging through the recent WikiLeaks, so I'm the some observers, release of Clinton campaign chair John Podesta's leaked emails noticed similarities between a private email sent from the then CNN contributor to Clinton's communication director, Jennifer Palmieri, saying she gets questions in advance. In the email to Palmieri, Brazile flagged the question she received from CNN about the death penalty in the body of the email, saying from time to time I get questions in advance. Palmieri appeared to take Brazile's email as a request for talking points, saying that not everyone likes her answer, but I could share it. At a town hall event a day later, exonerated death row inmate Ricky Johnson posed a question for Clinton about her stance on the death penalty. Multiple news outlets, including Politico, BuzzFeed, and Mediaite, reported that the exchange signaled that Brazile had knowledge of the March 13th town hall questions in advance, tipping off the Clinton campaign. However, according to a top Democratic Party source familiar with the exchange, a.k.a. the DNC, told Business Insider that, and they're saying, according to a top Democratic Party source, that's how this stuff works. They won't go, Donna Brazile and the DNC won't go on the record, so they say, according to a top Democratic Party source familiar with the exchange. It's the DNC telling Business Insider this. Brazile's email were not referencing a question at the town hall. Instead, the question Brazile forwarded on to Palmieri was a topic for conversation on a panel that Brazile was set to appear on. Yeah, I got a bridge to sell you. I'm not even going to read the rest. It's nonsense. Listen, I think it's very clear if you read the similarities between the question Donna Brazile forwarded to the Clinton campaign and the question that was actually asked in the town hall, that Donna Brazile had the question in advance and tipped off Hillary Clinton's campaign that she was going to get a question on it. You could read it. Mediaite.com has a story on it. Mediaite.com. Politico has a story. BuzzFeed has a story. So you be the judge, but I think they're lying. And I think the fact that you have CNN literally tipping off Hillary Clinton's campaign, even if she didn't read the question to her or send her the exact question, but just told her the topic of a question she was going to be asked, that's giving a candidate advance warning. These are the topics you need to be prepared for. You think Bernie Sanders got anything from Donna Brazile? Give me a break. So it's a joke. The whole defense of it is a joke too. Moving on. And this is after the leaks yesterday showed that Donna Brazile leaked to the Hillary Clinton campaign an email from Bernie Sanders' campaign. Bernie Sanders' campaign was emailing about a Twitter campaign a Twitter promotion they were going to have the next day, tailored towards the African American voters. So Donna Brazile tipped off the Hillary Clinton campaign to that. Another email shows that John Podesta and Neera Tanden is the president of the Center for American Progress, which is not a center for progress. It's not progressive. It's essentially a neoliberal think tank that does their bidding for Hillary Clinton. Neera Tanden and John Podesta were in an email exchange. Neera Tanden says, can Obama even hint of support of Hillary Clinton before Tuesday? Before Tuesday was the Illinois primary. Really, just a directional nod would be helpful. Like if he just is asked a question or tweets an innuendo, how did he vote in the primary? Maybe they don't want to do this, but the stakes are pretty damn high in this election for him. Though I don't know how most people are going to take these clashes between Bernie supporters and Trump's people. So here's Neera asking John Podesta, Hillary Clinton's campaign chairman, to try and convince Podesta's old buddies in the Obama administration, because Podesta also worked for Obama in the first term, push him. Give a little innuendo to show he's for Hillary Clinton before the Illinois primary. I don't think he needed to. I think it was clear he was for Hillary Clinton the whole time. But they're trying to rig the primary that way to get the president to show his favor for Hillary Clinton. Podesta responds to Neera Tanden, why don't you push Valerie a little bit? Valerie Jarrett, who is President Obama's one of his most senior advisors, close friend to President Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama, has been with them for over a decade from Chicago days. John Podesta says to Neera, try to push Valerie a little bit, because Valerie has both the president and Michelle Obama's ears. Yeah, this primary wasn't rigged. Nothing to see here. Hold on, guys. Okay. Sorry, I'm pretty sick, but moving on. This one I found personally disgusting. It shows how pretty much our politicians see the Iraq War as just an issue and get over it. So Philip Raines, who is a Clinton aide, and played Donald Trump in mock debates played Donald Trump in the mock debates before the first debate with Hillary Clinton, is a longtime Clinton aide and sent an email to John Podesta, who's the Clinton campaign chairman, and a bunch of other people in the Clinton campaign, including Uma Abedin, who is Clinton's right-hand woman, former wife to Anthony Weiner. They're currently, I think, getting a divorce. It's in response to MoveOn.org and a story about MoveOn.org looking to nudge Elizabeth Warren into the 2016 presidential race. Quote from Philip Raines, this is more than a little annoying. Making noise is one thing. Spending 7 figures is another. She voted for the war. You punished her already. Get over it. I don't know who funds them, but don't we have Hollywood friends with ties to move on who could tell them to cool it? I want to read that one more time to you because I think it's pretty reprehensible. This is more than a little annoying. Making noise is one thing. Spending 7 figures is another. She voted for the war. You punished her already. Get over it. I don't know who funds them, talking about Move On. But don't we have Hollywood friends with ties to Move On who could tell them to cool it? Yeah, you know what's kind of annoying? Philip Raines and Hillary Clinton? Yeah, I think the families of the over 4,000 soldiers who died in Iraq, I think they're pretty annoyed. I think the families of the people in Iraq, of 100,000 civilians who died. I think they're fucking annoyed. So when you say making noise is one thing, spending seven figures is another. She voted for the war. You pushed her already. Get over it. I think what this shows is the people in our politics are really out of touch with the most basic things, which are life and death. A war and people dying, and your candidate being the one who, among many others, it's not all Hillary Clinton's fault, sent them there under false pretenses and didn't do their homework, didn't do their research, took false intelligence. That's not something that people should just move on for, or, oh, you punished her for it, so now you need to support her. And, oh, do we have our Hollywood friends who can tell them to cool it? Cut it out. Pretty shameful, I think. Pretty shameful. Moving on. Here we go. There was an email where Hillary Clinton's campaign is pretty much coordinating and listing off all the big positive stories that are coming out. So if you read this email, it almost looks like the people they're talking about that are coming out with these stories, it almost looks like a list of public relations professionals doing, getting good exposure for them. But it's not public relations. It's all journalists. So the subject, May 20th, nightly press traffic summary. Here's a blog post from HRC on small business on LinkedIn that will go up tomorrow. New York Times will break that story, and LinkedIn PR will push it around the tech outlets. So they're basically coordinating with the New York Times to break the story on Hillary Clinton's blog post on LinkedIn. Another one says CNN's Dan Merica's piece on curbing drug abuse emerging as a key issue for Hillary, now scheduled to pop Friday morning. Time is doing a piece on the small business policy that Hillary Clinton rolled out Tuesday. We stressed her efforts to loosen unnecessary regulations on small banks. The New York Times is planning to do a piece on our apparent focus on mobilizing the base over persuading the middle, contrasting it with Bill Clinton's campaigns and Hillary Clinton's 2008 campaign. Politico has a story coming tomorrow on us acquiring the Ready for Hillary email list. So this reads to me like public relations professionals, not journalists. It goes on, but it would take me forever to read it. I'll put a lot of these email links to the WikiLeaks in the final video, because we're going to make this Facebook video and put it on YouTube. So you'll have all the links to look at these yourself. A very interesting one showed that Elizabeth Warren met with Hillary Clinton in January of 2015. And was apparently making pushes for Clinton's administration personnel. So this isn't even when Bernie Sanders was in the campaign. He didn't even announce yet. And you have Elizabeth Warren meeting with Hillary Clinton, basically making requests for who she should and should not have in her administration. Here's the email. As follow-up to Hillary Clinton's meeting with Warren, I spent about an hour and 20 minutes this afternoon with Dan Geldin, a longtime advisor to the senator, meaning Senator Warren. He was intently focused on personnel issues. Robert Rubin was the Treasury Secretary, a real Goldman Sachs guy, very, very conservative. And detailed case against the Bob Rubin School of Democratic Policymakers, was very critical of the Obama administration's choices and explained at length the opposition to Antonio Weiss. We then carefully went through a list of people they do like, which Elizabeth Warren sent over to Hillary Clinton earlier. So, Emma and I have debated already on Elizabeth Warren and whether she sold out and all this stuff. You could go see that video on TYT Politics. I think the headline was epic. Emma and Jordan's epic debate on Elizabeth Warren. But here you go. This shows that Elizabeth Warren, even before Hillary Clinton announced, even before Bernie Sanders announced, was already assuming Hillary Clinton was going to win the White House and was making requests at who should and should not be in her cabinet, which I think is very interesting, shall I say. Another one shows John Podesta, the chairman of the campaign, pushing for a Keystone XL pipeline lobbyist and mega donor to Hillary Clinton to get a state dinner invite for Canada's state dinner. Let me read you the email here. Thought our candidate was strong and by far the most knowledgeable last night. Clear win. I think they're talking about a debate. Just wanted you to know that I believe I am supported by state for inclusion on the March 10th invitation list. But I assume I need someone in White House to believe a former Clinton ambassador would be a respectable choice. I know you have lots on your mind, but any help is much appreciated. We are ready to do our part in Georgia, no matter what happens up north. So that one is literally a Keystone XL pipeline lobbyist and a major donor to the Hillary Clinton campaign, essentially asking for an invitation to a state dinner. So yes, she's very against climate change and big oil and all those things, which is very, very clear. Here we go. More. Let's move on. A funny one, I thought, is Neera Tanden, again, the Center for American Progress, writes an email saying, gave him a very hard time. I have to say, this does not go down easy with me. Wish him well in life. What they're talking about is investigative journalists from The Intercept, who have been very critical in their coverage of Hillary Clinton. I guess The Intercept did a story. Neera must have talked to The Intercept, and Neera said, makes sense since all these freaks after Hillary are like his spawn. I guess they're talking, and then she says Zaid and Li Fang, two reporters at The Intercept. So she calls them freaks and his spawn. So that's what they think of investigative journalists who go after Hillary Clinton with journalism. I didn't make the cut yet, so hopefully one day I'll be written about in nasty ways. Here's another one: Hillary Clinton camp plotting how to hit Bernie Sanders on the gun issue, because apparently it's the number one testing contrast issue. So as always, everything's got to be poll tested, everything's got to be focus grouped. Can't take a position, can't do anything without making sure it's through the machine. It's A-OK through the poll test, through the focus group. Jennifer Palmieri wrote this email to Podesta. My theory is that we do not want to be in a one-on-one with Trump, but want to hit him occasionally, in which case we also need to be hitting Sanders occasionally so we could credibly say we are not only focused on the general. For example, we were going to do a press call tomorrow in Arizona with locals about guns, parentheses, the number one testing contrast issue. So I thought good to do here. So maybe it is too hard here, but thought we should have some measure of contrast. Podesta actually wrote back, interestingly, I am worried about blowback from our own supporters. So they were essentially trying to plot how to spin Bernie Sanders' gun issues, which I think was taken out of context. I don't think Bernie Sanders was pro-gun at all. I think what he said was, I don't support prosecuting owners of small gun stores who sell a gun to someone and do everything right. The person who buys the gun passes a background check, the store owner does their due diligence, and then the guy goes nuts and shoots up a school. Bernie Sanders said, I don't believe you should hold the gun store owner liable if he did everything right. And that was turned into Bernie Sanders' spawn of the NRA or something like that. But this shows that they poll tested the gun issue, and the gun issue was the number one tested issue for the Clinton campaign. So it's the Clay candidate. Everything is malleable. Everything can be shifted and molded into different ways. Her positions, who knows what she truly thinks, because it changes on the fly based on what the focus groups and the polls tell her. Emma reported on stuff from yesterday, but there were a lot of emails where the Clinton campaign reaches out to the lawyer to basically make sure they're not crossing the line between coordination. They were pretty much trying to do everything humanly possible to go up to the line on coordination, but not cross it. Meanwhile, they were clearly coordinating with the super PAC. So Clinton campaign attorney asks if it's okay to ask David Brock, who runs Clinton's super PAC. He's a hitman for Hillary Clinton, basically. He's not even liked in the Hillary Clinton campaign, which a lot of these emails make clear. Asking if it's okay to get Brock a pre-publication copy of Clinton Cash. Clinton Cash was a very critical book about Hillary Clinton, her State Department, and the Clintons. And the lawyer was asking, or excuse me, Hillary Clinton's campaign manager was asking if they could get a copy of the book to David Brock, or would that be crossing the line between coordination? Stuff like that is shown throughout the emails. Another email shows that Hillary Clinton's campaign was working to spin her vote on the bankruptcy bill because she exaggerated her getting pressure from women's groups on the bill. If you remember, the bankruptcy bill, when she was First Lady, Elizabeth Warren actually convinced her that she should convince President Bill Clinton, to not allow this to pass. It was a bill basically for the banks to make issues harder for people who want credit, to basically indebt them further. Elizabeth Warren convinced then First Lady Hillary Clinton to make Bill Clinton not let this law pass. As soon as she became Senator, Hillary Clinton, she voted for that bill because Wall Street gave her cash in her Senate run. So the email shows they were trying to spin her vote on the bankruptcy bill. It was bulleted, and the number 2 bullet said women's groups. We cannot put something out proactive here because the record just isn't good. But if called, Judy and Marcia are also prepared to say that Hillary fought really hard for changes. Hillary Clinton said she voted for the bill because changes were made to the bill that made it okay to her. Say that Hillary fought really hard for changes, was with the other women senators, and committed to keep working with them to strengthen the bill. Here are the statements they put out in 2001 that don't help us. Essentially, Hillary Clinton was trying to make it seem like she was getting a lot of pressure from women's groups on the bankruptcy bill, which she exaggerated because she wasn't, and that she bravely, I don't even know what that means, but I read it as she bravely, stood out and voted for it anyway, even against pressure. But that's not the case. And she very clearly on the bankruptcy bill caved to Wall Street donors' money because Elizabeth Warren convinced her as First Lady that it was not good for workers, not good for Main Street, and she voted for it anyway as a senator. And that's it for the latest emails I found. I would say on these emails, and again, yesterday was part 2, today is part 3. I'm sure, almost positive, there's ones that I have missed. I've been sick. I went to the doctor. I'm trying to rest up a little bit. I've been on the road for 2 straight weeks. But I think these emails very clearly show that Hillary Clinton's campaign was a vessel for her, and she was actively involved in trying to create her policies and what she's for on the go, based on polling, based on focus groups, based on what will play well with certain states, based on what will play well with the Obama administration, based on what will get Elizabeth Warren into their corner. She is the Clay candidate. That's the easiest way to say it. She is a Clay candidate. She is a Clay politician. From these emails, if you didn't know anything about politics, you would read this and say, this woman has no core. She's got no core principles. The one that I found most detestable today is the stuff with Donna Brazile. I don't buy for a million years that this was something where she was sending them a question she got in advance for her own speech that she was giving. I think she sent a question that was being given to Hillary Clinton at a CNN town hall, which is pretty unethical considering she worked at CNN. By the way, CNN came out saying and denying that was the case, which makes me think it is the case. So I could go, it's exhausting, it's overwhelming, all these emails, but in summary, I think a lot of these show direct corruption. I think a lot of these show pay for play. I think a lot of these show a candidate who pretty much says whatever she's got to say, will take whatever position she has to say. The original ones I reported on that show her bank speeches show her basically kissing the bank's butt, kissing their ass, telling them they're just poor little banks, misunderstood, and so much politicizing that went on. So I think you be the judge. I try to be fair, even though I have personal feelings about Hillary Clinton, but you got to be accurate too, and these emails are very damning. So that's my report on this. I'm going to be tweeting as much as I humanly can on as I read more of these leaks. And Emma has a video that will be up on YouTube soon. She focused on part 2 of the leaks that came out yesterday. And we will have more videos as more leaks come out. And please tune in to youtube.com/TYTpolitics, as we also have videos going up from our Disappearing Middle Class tour. Thanks, guys.